Welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Cycle on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Mukhtar Qasim. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and StarTimes channel 276. The Federal High Court sitting in Abuja has sentenced 4 members of the terrorist group to death by hanging for their involvement in the June 5th, 2020 linking him to the terrorist attack. Meanwhile, the Senate has strongly condemned the abduction of pupils and teachers in the Oriri local government area of Oyo State, describing the incident as a direct assault on the nation and its future. The position of the upper legislative chamber was conveyed in the welcome remark by the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, during the resumption of plenary. National Assembly correspondent Anita Patrick reports.
At the resumption of plenary at the Senate from its break from the various party primaries ahead of the 2027 general elections, the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, expressed deep concern over the attack on the affected schools and the adoption of dozens of pupils and teachers, stressing that the continued captivity of the victims remains a matter of national concern. He called on security agencies to intensify ongoing rescue efforts and ensure the safe return of all adopted victims, while urging law enforcement authorities to track down and prosecute those responsible for the attack.
As we resume our work under the mournful shadow of a tragedy that has shaken our nation, the abduction of school children and teachers in Oyo State, this is not merely an attack on innocent citizens. It is an assault on our collective humanity. We mourn because if we cannot protect our children, we imperil our future. We mourn because a nation that cannot guarantee the safety of its teachers weakens the very foundation upon which education rests. As we mourn because for as long as those children remain in captivity, our nation remains captive with them.
While expressing solidarity with the victims, the President of the Senate cautioned against attempts to politicize the tragedy, noting that incidents of such magnitude often create opportunities for political blame games and exploitation. He warned politicians, political office holders, and aspirants against taking advantage of the situation for personal or partisan interests, stressing that the focus should remain on rescuing the victims and supporting affected families. From the National Assembly, Anita Patrick, Global TV News.
In a related development, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has assured protesting teachers and civil society groups that security agencies are intensifying efforts to secure the release of abducted teachers and students nationwide. The assurance came as demonstrators gathered at the FCT Administration Secretariat demanding urgent action over recent school kidnappings. Kabir Hassan completes the story.
Addressing the protesters, the FCT Minister, Nyesom Wike, said government remains committed to ensuring the safe return of all victims, stressing that security agencies are working around the clock to restore confidence in the nation's security architecture. Wike expressed confidence in the capacity of security institutions to secure the release of those abducted, emphasizing the need for swift intervention.
They can to make sure the teachers and the students that are being kidnapped in Oyo State are being released unharmed. But let me say this clearly. I don't like politicizing anything that happens. You have said here in FCT that teachers have been kidnapped before. Why was there no protest in the country?
The minister, however, warned against turning security challenges into political debates, noting that insecurity remains a national concern, requiring collective responsibility and unified action. Wike called for national solidarity, stressing that insecurity anywhere in the country should concern all citizens.
So why is this one not particular? We're all concerned. We're all concerned, but let us not politicize issues. That's what I will not support. But we're all concerned about security situation. We're all concerned about how the teachers and students should be released. And we all know, without being biased, that the security system is doing quite a lot to make sure that they contain the level of insecurity in this country.
The protest follows growing concern over recent school abduction, with teachers and civil society groups demanding stronger security measures and immediate rescue efforts. Kabir Hassan, Global TV News.
Let's now head to Oyo State, where the sister of the former Minister of Power and the All Progressives Congress APC 2027 governorship aspirant in the state, Bayo Adelabu, and her twin children have been kidnapped in Ibadan, the state capital. The incident occurred today at the Challenge area of Ibadan Southwest local government area of the state. The family appeals to members of the public to remain calm, avoid speculation, and refrain from circulating unverified information that may jeopardize ongoing security operations. The federal government has stepped up efforts to address critical shortages in Nigeria's rehabilitation sector through workforce expansion, integration of rehabilitation services into primary health care, insurance reforms, and revival of rehabilitation centers across the country. The Registrar and Chief Executive Officer of the Medical Rehabilitation Therapist Board of Nigeria, Rufai Ahmed, disclosed this during a press briefing in Abuja, where he outlined measures already approved to strengthen rehabilitation services amidst rising demand nationwide. Ahmed noted that the Ministry of Education has approved the establishment of medical rehabilitation programs in about 20 universities across the 6 geopolitical zones of the country to boost production and distribution of skilled professionals. Benin Republic's President Romuald Wagdani has visited President Bola Tinubu, marking his first trip abroad since being sworn into office a few weeks ago. Benin Republic and Nigeria maintain one of the closest and most structurally impactful bilateral relations in West Africa. Oyi Agbamofoigbe reports that the trip signals how high Benin Republic ranks its partnership with Nigeria as Wagdani sets his foreign policy agenda for the new term as president. The reports.
Bound by an 809-kilometer shared border and a centuries-old history predating colonial borders, both countries share populations whose commercial, familial, and cultural exchanges have never ceased. Official diplomatic relations between the two nations, established on September 12, 1961, enshrine this long-standing brotherhood. On the economic front, Nigeria is Benin's primary trading partner. The autonomous port of Cotonou serves as an essential gateway for Nigerian trade bound for landlocked countries in the sub-region. Benin's formal exports to Nigeria increased by over 90% in 2024. The Semekrake Joint Border Control. Benin's formal exports to Nigeria increased by over 90% in 2024. The Semekrake Joint Border Control Posts, the West African Gas Pipeline, and the Benin-Nigeria Business Forum held in January 2026 all illustrate the depth of this bilateral integration. During the talks between both presidents, Tinubu Wagdani discussed economic and industrial cooperation, energy ties, maritime security in the Gulf of Guinea, and regional issues that include unity within the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS. Uyi Agmofwegbe, Global TV News.
Troops of Operation Wellstroke have intensified operations against criminal networks across Benue and Taraba State, neutralizing 4 suspected criminals, rescuing kidnapped victims, and recovering arms, ammunition, and illicit drugs during coordinated operations conducted between May 24 and 31. According to a statement by Acting Media Information Officer Lieutenant Ahmed Zubairu, troops responded to attacks, armed robbery and kidnapping incidents, rescued abducted victims, arrested suspects and recovered weapons, cash, and over 600 pieces of illicit drugs linked to criminal activities. Military authorities said the operation forms part of broader efforts to dismantle criminal support networks and restore stability in the region, while Force Commander Major General Moses Gara urged residents to continue providing actionable intelligence. The United Nations says about 35 million Nigerians are at a risk of acute hunger between June and August, raising concerns over the growing impact of insecurity, economic hardship, and climate-related challenges as the country battles one of its worst food crises in recent years. Zohra Nasir examines the situation and reports on possible solutions.
A new report by the United Nations Humanitarian Country Team paints a troubling picture of Nigeria's food situation. According to the report, nearly 1 in 7 Nigerians, about 35 million people, could experience acute food insecurity during the lean season from June to August. Acute hunger is described as a severe shortage of food consumption capable of threatening lives and livelihoods, often triggered by conflict, climate shocks, and economic instability. The report warns that delayed intervention could force millions of families to skip meals, sell productive assets, and withdraw children from school, worsening poverty and long-term vulnerability. Public affairs commentator Professor Ibrahim Abubakar says insecurity and climate change remain major drivers of worsening food crisis across the country.
So many factors for now: insecurity, climate change, then the input of GMO. These are the key factors. Any other factors could just happen.
Professor Ibrahim Abubakar adds that adopting modern farming methods and improving agricultural practices could help boost food production and reduce vulnerability.
A lot has to be done. We have to look for modern way of farming, bring in commodity exchange program and other programs that will benefit Nigerians. Then also look into deep research into what our sector implies with or relate with the agricultural sector.
The United Nations says Nigeria now accounts for one of the largest hunger crises globally, with northern states carrying the heaviest burden. Zohra Nasir, Global TV News.
The federal government has intensified health screening measures at airport, seaport, and land borders as part of efforts to prevent the importation of Ebola virus disease amidst an outbreak of the Budingu strain in parts of East and Central Africa. The Ministry of Health and Social Welfare says travelers identified as high risk or displaying symptoms associated with Ebola and other hemophilic fever would undergo secondary screening, isolation, and referral procedure, despite no confirmed case currently recorded in Nigeria. Authorities have also strengthened surveillance through temperature check, travel history assessment, health declaration forms, and community-based monitoring systems to enhance national preparedness and disease detection. Meanwhile, at least 274 new suspected cholera cases have been recorded in Borno State in 24 hours, bringing the total number of suspected infections to 4,204 across 7 local government areas. The incident manager of the Public Health Emergency Operations Center, Dr. Jacob Tzizla, disclosed this during a sensitization meeting on preventing measures and case management of acute watery diarrhea for stakeholders across 27 local government area in Maiduguri. Health authorities also confirmed that 39 deaths have been recorded since the outbreak began. You're watching the live broadcast of News Cycle. News Cycle continues after this weather forecast, plus business, foreign, and sports stories. On the other side of this break, please stay with us.
Hello, welcome to the weather forecast. Tuesday morning started off on a relatively calm and generally stable atmospheric conditions in many parts of the country. But as we go into Wednesday, we're already tracking developing weather systems building up in several regions of the country. So for the morning hours, there's likelihood of thunderstorms in parts of Adamawa, Taraba, parts of Plateau, Benue, Lagos, and the south region of the country. Going into the afternoon and evening hours, our models indicates convective clouds, that is rain-bearing thunderstorm clouds, will develop more to the north and the north-central region, while slightly reduced rainfall amounts is expected in the southern parts of the country. Overall, thunderstorms and rains accompanied with strong winds are expected. Residents are advised to remain weather aware, ensure drainage channels are kept clear, as localized flash floods are likely to occur in vulnerable locations. I am Theodora Itun. Thank you for watching.
You're welcome back from that break, and if you're just tuning in, this is the live broadcast of News Cycle on Global Television. And now to business news, where Vice President Kashim Shettima has called on state governments to fast-track business enabling environment and reforms under the $750 million World Bank-supported State Action on Business Enabling Reforms program to attract investment and stimulate economic growth across the country. Speaking at a stakeholders meeting in Abuja, Shettima said effective implementation of the program would improve infrastructure, strengthen investor confidence, reduce the cost of doing business, and create jobs across the country. He directed the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council to explore expanding the program by 1 year, while stakeholders expressed optimism that participating states would meet conditions required to access the intervention funds. Meanwhile, Nigeria has attracted $10.37 billion in capital importation during the first quarter of 2026, representing an 87.83% increase compared to the $5.64 billion recorded in the corresponding period of 2025. The National Bureau of Statistics said capital inflows rose by nearly 61% from the previous quarter, reflecting renewed investor confidence, with foreign direct investment accounting for $135.08 million and other investment contributing $374.48 million. According to the Bureau, the figures were compiled from the data supplied by the Central Bank of Nigeria and captured fresh foreign capital inflows reported by commercial banks. On the foreign scene, a court in Gabon has rejected an appeal by opposition leader and former Prime Minister Alain Claude Billy Bainze seeking to invalidate legal proceedings against him, ensuring that he remains in detention pending further action. Billy Bainze, who has been held since April on allegations of breach of trust and fraud, maintains that the accusations are legally prescribed, while his lawyers described the prosecution as flawed and politically motivated. The case has intensified debate over judicial independence and political freedom in Gabon, with supporters accusing authorities of targeting a prominent government critic ahead of future political contests. British police say 11 officers and a police dog have been injured during violent protests in Southampton over the handling of murder case involving 18-year-old Henry Nowak. 2 people were arrested following the unrest, while Prime Minister Keir Starmer condemned the violence and called for calm amidst growing public debate over anti-racism policing guidance in the United Kingdom. The controversy follows criticism of the police response to the case and has prompted government officials to support a review of existing anti-racism policing commitment. And now to Asia, where at least 21 people, including several foreign nationals, have been killed after fire swept through a multi-story building in New Delhi, India, that reportedly operated as accommodation for patients and relatives receiving treatment at a nearby hospital. Police say more than 40 people were rescued and have been taken to hospital, while authorities launched investigations into the cause of the blaze and whether the facility possessed the required operating permits. Prime Minister Narendra Modi expressed condolence to the victims' family and announced compensation packages for those affected by one of the deadliest fires recorded in the Indian capital in recent history. And now talking sports, Super Eagles head coach Eric Chile says Nigeria will approach today's international friendly against Poland with a winning mentality as preparations continue in Warsaw. The arrival of Fulham defender Calvin Bassey increased the number of players in the camp to 20, giving the technical crew more options across defense, midfield and attack ahead of the encounter. Nigeria will face Poland at the PGE Norowodi Stadium, while Chile will be aiming to build on recent positive performances and strengthen the team's competitive culture. The game will commence at 8:45 p.m. Poland time, which is 7:45 p.m. Nigerian time. Still talking sports, the Super Falcons camp in Ekene, Ogun State has received a major boost with the arrival of Benfica midfielder Christy Uchebe and Al Ittihad forward Francisca Odega ahead of the team's friendly matches against Senegal. The duo joined several other players who reported to camp as preparations intensified for the two-legged fixture scheduled for Friday and Monday at the Remo Stars Sports Complex. The friendlies form part of Nigeria's build-up to the 2026 Women African Cup of Nations in Morocco, where the Super Falcons will seek a record-extending 11th continental title and qualification for the Women's 2027 World Cup. And finally, Nigeria's medal haul at the 2026 Taekwondo Championship in Bamako, Mali, has grown to 7, with the country claiming 3 gold medals, 1 silver and 3 bronze medals at the World Taekwondo sanctioned G4 tournament. The latest additions came from Adirimbe Faridat, who claimed gold in the freestyle Promze category. She also teamed up with Salahuddin Abdul Hafiz to win silver in the pair Pomose event. Earlier in the competition, Haruna Osman had added a second gold in the Pomose U40 male category, while para-taekwondo athlete Matthew Udom dominated display had delivered the first gold in the 57 kg Kyogi category. That's it on News Cycle. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. Kindly follow us across all our social media platforms, now displaying on your screen by using @Global TV NJ. I am Mukhtar Kasim. Saying a very big thank you for watching. Almost there. 24.